I'm John Doherty, and today we're going to talk about pressure points. We're going to talk about three different pressure points. Pressure points in the upper right arm, pressure points in the last three fingers of the left hand, and pressure point in the right hand's index finger. Now there's a lot of different pressure points. There's pressure points in the feet, there's pressure points in the left arm. Golf Machine has 4 in particular pressure points. There's lots of different pressure points, but I'm going to cover these 3 because I really think this could help your golf swing. Take a moment, subscribe to my channel, we'll get started. All right, let's get started in the upper right arm pressure points. Now there's 3 pressure points you kind of want to think about. One being in the armpit, one being in the mid bicep, and the third one being at the elbow. So at address, if you have the right elbow slightly flexed and the left arm straight, you'll feel all 3 pressure points, especially if you're wearing a big coat under a jersey like me. You'll feel all 3 pressure points on the body at P1. Now, this feeling of maintaining these pressure points in this right arm throughout the entire swing is critical. So that being said, if you watch the takeaway, you don't want to take away where the right arm is doing a lawnmower action, because I just lost all those pressure points and there's a good chance you're going to lift at the top. So from P1 to P2, the idea is to maintain those pressure points right here in front of the right part of the stomach. You're going to move the right forearm around the elbow joint. And what you'll notice when that happens is the left arm pops off. So left arm is basically inert in the golf swing, like a piece of rope. And when the right arm does this external rotation, this right forearm around the elbow joint, it'll make the left arm pop off. So you can feel that. You can feel the right elbow, right bicep, armpit pressure points, and then feel the left arm go ahead and come off in the first part of the backswing. So as we go back in the backswing, these pressure points, you're still going to feel it all the way. But the pressure points in the backswing move from the front right part of your stomach to pretty close to the seam of your shirt, the back. So even though you're maintaining it, there is some motion around the stomach to the seam of the shirt in the backswing. But if we get the P1 to P2 right, we're going to go ahead and start an external rotation, meaning that we're not going to be working back an internal rotation more with the right arm. You'll already get the process of external rotation going back. So if you make a good backswing at the top, you can see that my right elbow now is not in front of my torso anymore. It is moved back to the seam of my shirt, but I did not lift. However, at P4, you're going to notice that right arm is going to lose one of its 3 pressure points, the right elbow. So the right elbow will come off some 4 to 5 inches from the torso. But the mid bicep and the armpit is still going to feel attached. You really don't want to disconnect like this, because then trying to reattach and find that feel, which is going to be real important as we get near impact, is going to be real hard to make a consistent motion with. So getting the idea of maintaining the pressure points in a few minutes will make a lot more sense. Now as we get to the top, now pressure points in the right index finger starts to play a role. The pressure point in the right index finger starts in the mid knuckle, so right here. And when the hand speed starts to increase and arm speed starts to increase, it moves from the mid knuckle to the top knuckle. And as I've said in other videos, that is aided by having a grip that makes that easier. So when you see most gloves have this seam up top, if you ride your right hand pretty close to the seam of that left-hand glove, you'll see your thumb pop out. Well, that means most of the right hand is sitting on top of the left-hand thumb and this upper seam part. Not much of the right hand is on the club, if that's the case. So very little bit of the right hand. That makes it, when the left wrist cocks at the top, that makes it easier for the club to move from the mid knuckle to the top knuckle without that right hand doing any resistance. And that's important when we get this hand speed, that it lets that wrist cock happen, because a big part of the speed in this style of swing is taking that wrist cock, loading that wrist cock, and then unloading it at impact for that club head speed. So pressure point number 3 in the right index finger needs to be floating in transition from the mid knuckle to the top knuckle. All right, so we're at P1. Right forearm is working around the elbow. My left arm is popping off. I personally like to feel the left arm coming off. I know I'm doing it right. If my right elbow worked too far behind me, I'd feel my left arm on my body. So I like to feel the left arm coming off the chest with the right elbow still maintain those pressure points. As I go up to the top of the backswing, I still want to feel the pressure points in my right arm, armpit, and mid bicep. So coming down, as I transfer my center of gravity's left, I'm going to shallow the shaft and increase the wrist cock this way. Now as this happens, that pressure point went from mid knuckle to the top knuckle. And the elbow, which was off at P4, is now the first move back down. It reattaches back to the side of my torso, very near the seam of my shirt. Coming down as I'm transferring the pressure into my left foot, I'm going to maintain the pressure point in the top knuckle, and I'm maintaining the pressure, all three pressure points in my elbow, mid bicep, and armpit. As I continue to come down, I'm going to maintain that pressure feeling in that top knuckle. That means I've not dumped that wrist cock out early and gone to the mid knuckle. So I'm going to maintain that pressure point. The wrist cock at P6 is only about 120 degrees, so it's not the same 70-degree angle you got at P4 to P5. It's going to bleed out some to about 120, but the feel in that right index finger is still in that top knuckle to maintain the hand speed. So as the hands are moving forward, that the right humerus was on the seam of the shirt, starts to work in front of the body. So again, just like it did in the backswing, going from the front to behind at P4, coming down it goes from the seam to in front of the body at P6. Now, pressure points in the last three fingers play a big role. So as my body, as you see, the knees are like scissors, so my right knee straightening, left knee flexing, coming down, right knees flexing, left knees flexing as well, then straightening, is bringing my swing direction back around. I'm shallowing with the arm. So there's no attempt here in this swing to close the face or steepen the club. The upper body really needs to be shallowing out that golf club. Now, I got all the pressure points in my right humerus. The pressure point feel is in my top knuckle. My last three pressure points in my left hand are about to play a big role. So as my right knee starts flexing down over my feet and my right shoulder starts to open up, I'm going to push down on the last three fingers of that left hand. And you'll feel it too sometimes in that thumb. And that pressure is taking that wrist cock and uncocking it into the ground. This also keeps you on plane. So a lot of people, when they get to a decent P6, even if they shallow, they maintain this wrist cock and do one or two things. They either flip with the wrist cock like this, or they keep the wrist cock and have to straighten the right arm, and they'll see real low hands at impact and a straight right arm. So coming down into P6, what should get that club to the ball is the last three fingers of that left hand, just like that, and you'll see an impact where the pressure points, when you touch the golf ball, the pressure points in the elbow, mid bicep, and armpit are still on the torso, but kind of back right where they were at P1 in that right side of the stomach. All right, so let's give an example. Pressure points going back. I'm going to move my right forearm around my elbow joint. It's going to pop off my left arm. We'll kind of preview P7 by going ahead and shifting the COG's left. I'm going to move my elbow back to the front of my right part of my stomach, and then I'm going to uncock my left wrist as my body continues to open up. Now you see at P8, the wrist is actually uncocked even more. So at P7, when you take the last three fingers of your pressure point and uncock your wrist, you should see about a 45-degree angle between your fingers and your left arm. That means your wrist uncocked correctly. Now the human hand can even go more. So at P7 we're at 45, and at P8 it should almost be 90 degrees. So you are going from a little wrist cock left at P6 to level 45-degree fingers down at P7 to 90 down fingers at P8. And that down cock is going to produce an on-plane motion. It's going to produce that divot after you hit the golf ball, and a lot of club head speed. All right, well, today we talked about some real important pressure points, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you very much.